Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Awakening Friends session. We will now get started with our mindful walking session. So I will kindly invite Dhammakusala Venerable to guide us through a mindful walking session.
Thanks, Sonari. Hello, everyone. So let's get started in our walking session. Feel free to turn on video and join more actively. So we are gonna walk. And we can walk back and forth in a selected space. And while walking, you simply try to be present with the walking body and notice the walking sensations. Notice your feet. Notice the texture, temperature of the ground. That way, we try to be grounded in our body. Time to time, various thoughts, memories, they come, they take your attention away. But once again, you can recover your attention and bring your attention back to the walking body. All right, repetitively, various things take your attention, grab your attention, but you simply realize it and you return your attention back to the walking sensations. So this way, let's join for a walk-in session. When you hear the bell sound, you can return back.
Okay, that will finish our mindful walking session. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, Anari, yeah, fine.
Okay, great. All right, thank you everyone for doing that walking session. I think that will set our intentions to start our Dhamma discussion as we go through the numerical discourses. So I will now kindly invite Dhammakusala Bante to lead us through the Dhamma discussion, as well as invite Tarindu to read verse 64. And I will share the verses with everybody. Okay, Tarindu, you're welcome to start.
Uh, okay. Homage to the Blessed One, the Exalted One, the Fully Enlightened One. Bhikkhus, or 64, right? Yeah, okay. Bhikkhus, I do not see even a single thing that so causes unarisen, unwholesome qualities to arise and arisen, wholesome qualities to decline as non-contentment. For one who is not content, unarisen, unwholesome qualities arise, and arisen, unwholesome qualities decline.
Yes, we'll do the next one as well.
Um, 65. Bhikkhus, I do not see even a single thing that so causes unarisen, wholesome qualities to arise, and arisen, unwholesome qualities to decline, as contentment. For one who is content, unarisen, wholesome qualities arise, and arisen, unwholesome qualities decline.
Yes, so that's our topic for the day. And you can see if you have non-contentment, then as a result, you try to find various ways to please yourself. We try to find happiness in the outside world. We try to find happiness with consuming things, going to places, finding various people, buying things, right? So that way, non-contentment will lead us to find various ways of happiness, do various things in search of pleasure, right? So that's the whole idea here. If you have non-contentment, then as a result, you might chase after various things. It's like a rat race. You want to find happiness and you think that it's there in the outside world. So you spend money buying things, trying to be happy with shopping, right? Whenever you face a problem, you go and purchase many things, trying to fulfill yourself. Then if that doesn't work, then sometimes you go after various other things, buying buying a car probably, various ways of spending money. Then if that doesn't work, maybe you will go find happiness in drugs or alcohol, absolute happiness. You will go search for it. And when you have that, you are happy. But once again, next moment, it feels like you are not fulfilled. It's not enough, right? So this way, various ways are there, and people are simply on a rat race trying to fulfill themselves. So that leads to more and more unwholesome qualities. It doesn't matter what you do, you simply want to achieve. You simply want these things, right? That way, you say that the end will justify all the means. The means doesn't matter because the end will justify it. You want to get there, and how you get there, it doesn't matter. That's how many people approach their professions. They don't care what they do as long as they get to that milestone. That's how they deal with the businesses. What matters is the end. It doesn't matter what you do to get there. Even relationships, various other things you want in life, you simply try to reach that end goal. And you don't care whether you do wholesome things or unwholesome things, you somehow want to get there, right? So that way, in today's world, people say that the means, they don't matter. What matters is the end. You have to somehow get there. That's what matters, right? So I came across a young man probably like a week ago, and he was simply sharing his life story. And he was saying, Bante, I used to work in a place. I used to be an artist who did Buddha statues, and I had to work a whole month in order to get paid about 70K rupees. So I was working very hard. I was doing my job only by working so much I could earn, and even after earning 70K, it wasn't enough to my family's expenses. And I shared these things with one of my friends, and he said, there's a faster way to earn money than simply wasting your time on a day-to-day job. And he introduced me to a drug dealer, and I started a new business selling drugs. And you can see you can make money fast, right? You do a day's business and you earn a lot of money. Probably week's pay you can earn within a day, right? So it feels like you are finding a lot of money, you earn a lot of money, and this is a better way. It's a better way, it's a efficient way, you feel like that. But this boy, he was telling that initially he purchased all those drugs in order to sell them. But in the process, he himself started consuming them as well. And after few months into the business, he was only buying just to consume because more and more quantity is needed simply to fulfill his needs, his drug needs, right? So at the end of the day, he winded up being a consumer instead of a seller, and he lost his job, he lost his wife, he was homeless, utterly addicted, simply being like a crazy person, right? So you can see faster ways are there in life. We feel like, the means, it doesn't matter. What matters is the end. But according to this practice, according to the Buddha's teachings, the very means that you take, they will create the end, right? So you have to be careful about the things that you do, because it doesn't matter if you do bad things, the end will also be bad. The means themselves will create the end. That's the whole idea, right? In other ways, I think it was Carl Jung, and he says that beware of unearned wisdom. Unearned wisdom. That's the word he used, right? Unearned wisdom means the pleasures that you have earned with shortcuts, maybe drugs, maybe various other ways of, pleasure seeking. You haven't done enough work to gain this pleasure. Instead, you took a shortcut and simply got there, right? Buddha gives this very nice simile for these type of approaches. He says a fruit tree, a tree full of fruits. And this person comes by and he sees the fruits in the tree and he climbed the tree and fill himself with the delicious fruits. That's one approach. You put your work, you put your effort, and you get there. You enjoy the treats. Then another person comes by. This person, this second person, he can't climb. He can't climb. He can't put effort. He can't earn this the hard way. So instead, this fellow, he decides to simply chop the tree. He takes an axe, chop the tree, and simply by chopping it down, he starts enjoying the fruits. Right? So this is a very nice simile Buddha gives in order to explain this unearned wisdom, otherwise taking shortcuts, right? You can simply see that in various affairs, right? Maybe someone is married, right? Marriage, it's hard. You have to put a lot of effort. You have to, it's many years, many decades of work gone behind to that, right? So that way you enjoy your family life, you enjoy those worldly pleasures. But another person comes by, want these pleasures and simply have an affair with one of the spouses. Right? So the second person is simply taking a shortcut. He is enjoying these pleasures that he hasn't earned. Simply chopping the tree down in order to enjoy the fruits. Right? So that way, many people, they approach this world. It doesn't matter what they do, they simply want to get there. Right? But if you believe in karma, if you believe in the Buddha's teachings, then the Buddha says simply the means, they will create the end. Right? So this is the quality, contentment. If you are content with what you have, then of course you are satisfied. You don't want to seek all these shortcuts, right? But it is hard to be satisfied. It is hard to be fulfilled in the today's world, right? Because all we see media campaigns, advertising. That's what we see. Even going to a street,
traveling somewhere, you are exposed to a lot of advertising, right? Watching YouTube, going on social media, you are exposed to a lot of advertising, right? And many of them, they are not traditional ways of advertising. Instead, they use these tricks as famous figures, various other means in order to get it in your brain, right? And all these algorithms, they help. You search something on internet and it is registered, and later this product is popped up. It feels like the algorithm is reading my mind. I was having this in my mind and now this product comes. It costs a lot, so you have to somehow get there. You have to somehow get that product, right? So that way we try to fulfill ourselves with many things, and still at the end of the day, we are not satisfied. You feel satisfied for a while, then again it's gone in an instant. Once again, you feel this lack, right? So this feeling of lack is there. This void, this vacuum is there. So you want to somehow fill it, somehow fulfill this need. But when you think about it, this never-ending feeling of lack, this never-ending feeling of, vacuum, void, it's the very craving that's there in our mind. This craving is always creating this vacuum, this void, this feeling of lack, right? Especially, let's say, if you have gone through a stressful day, then at the end of the day, you feel this feeling of lack. You feel this void, and you want to find ways to fill it. Some people, they try to fill it with probably like, drugs or various other addictions like gambling. Some people, they try to fill it with sex, right? So various ways people try simply to get rid of this feeling of lack, right? But that's the very craving at work. So you have to understand it's not a matter of outside things. Instead, you have to change your mind in order to be fulfilled. If you don't do that, then naturally you are led towards more and more unwholesome things. The wholesome things you have in your life, they will gradually wear off. The unwholesome things will become more and more stronger, right? So you have to change your mind, get rid of this feeling of lack. But it's not easy, and it takes a lot of, effort, and that's the whole practice that we are talking about. In a way, when we talk about practice, we say it's all about your mind, the fulfillment. It will come from within, not from the outside world. Usually we say non-materialistic joy or non-materialistic contentment. This non-materialistic or unworldly joy comes from within. Let's say if you are a beginner to the practice, if you put some hours into the practice, if you do your walking, sitting practice, and if you continue for some time, probably a week or so, suddenly you get to see your mind becomes joyful, right? Maybe if it comes for the very first time, it'll be a life-changing experience. You feel like you have attained Nibbana. You feel like the whole world is under your control. That type of a feeling, that type of a fulfillment will appear from within. So that is identified as non-materialistic fulfillment or joy. This non-materialistic joy is there not because you got something. Usually we are happy when we get something, right? I remember one time in a session, I asked them, what's the source of your happiness in your daily life? What makes you happy? Right? So some people, they say, okay, when I get a present, I'm happy. When I spend time with one of my family members, I'm happy. When I spend time with my girlfriend, I'm happy. When I get paid, I'm happy. When I get a new car, I'm happy. So this way, usually our happiness is materialistic. When we get something, we are happy. At least we have to get a good meal in order to be happy, right? So materialistic happiness or materialistic joy, that's the one we usually know. But if you get into this practice, if you start this practice, then few days, few weeks into this practice, you will come across this life-changing experience. And sometimes even, in those one-off Satipathala sessions that we do at schools, right? These children, after doing it for like 20, 30 minutes, walking, sitting, when they share experiences, they sometimes get this feeling, non-materialistic joy that comes from within. I remember one time a girl, probably like 12, 13 years old, and she was, bursting with energy, joy, saying it was like heavenly. I sat for like 20 minutes. I felt this heavenly kind of a feeling within me, a fulfillment, joy within me, that unworldly fulfillment, not non-materialistic joy. And that feels heavenly. And that girl was saying, this is something I have experienced for the very first time. In my entire life, I have never experienced something like this. Bursting with joy, sharing that experience with the group. So you can see we have had materialistic fulfillment, happiness. That's what we have been chasing after. But if you change your mind, you can experience this non-materialistic joy. It's like sometimes even Buddha says, one time when he was accused of missing a meal, the Lord of Desire, he somehow made Buddha miss a meal, miss his lunch, the only meal of the day. And after having that experience, he was simply telling to the Lord of Desire, I am a creature who feeds on joy. So simply by missing my lunch, you can't take me down. Feeds on joy, right? That's how it is. So if you do this practice, if you approach it correctly, then you can see you become a creature who feeds on joy. It comes within. It's like Abhassara Deva. Those deities from the Abhassara world, they feeds on joy, right? So we have that ability, we have that potential within our mind, but you have to change this mind, otherwise you won't be able to experience this, right? So changing the mind, it takes time and effort, but that's how you can experience real fulfillment in this world. Without changing it, you will be fulfilled, but for a short time, because your fulfillment, your contentment is dependent on the outside world. That doesn't mean we don't have to use things. We'll have to, eat in order to sustain this body. We'll have to drink. We'll have to, maintain this body, earn a living. All these things are there, but your whole world is not dependent on the outside, right? Because the world, if it is dependent on the outside, it is always uncertain, changing. That uncertainty is the quality of the world, right? So these days you can feel it, right? People are worried that we are heading into a third world war, right? So a lot of uncertainty, chaos is there in the world. So if your happiness is dependent, if your fulfillment is dependent on this world, naturally it's gone, right? Always uncertainty, that's the quality of the world. So if that's how we find happiness, then of course it is fluctuating, changing. One day you are happy, next day you are sad. One day you feel like, flying, next day you are depressed. And even in the morning you are fine, in the afternoon you are utterly depressed, right? So that way, if the happiness is dependent on the outside world, then it's always fluctuating, changing, right? So you have to understand, you have to find happiness within. You have to become like a creature who feeds on joy, non-materialistic joy that comes from within. And for that, of course, you have to earn it. You have to put your work and somehow continue your practice. And it's like what we mentioned earlier, even the practice, you have to earn it, right? You can't expect simply the practice to work without putting enough hours into it, right? Even many people, they try to find shortcuts into the practice. They go in search of various methods, saying that this way it'll be easier. So they don't really want to put real effort towards the practice, but they want to get this non-materialistic joy. So it's like, unearned wisdom once again, right? So you have to put your hours, you have to put your effort. Shortcuts will take you through a longer route, right? So in the practice, if you simply put your hours, do the practice correctly, get proper advice, naturally you will get there. I came across this teaching a few days ago. Buddha explains that you have to earn this. Many people, they do it partially, they don't earn properly, and they blame the Buddha, saying this practice doesn't work. They say, okay, I have tried mindfulness, it doesn't work. Right? So in a way, you are accusing Buddha. You are saying his words are wrong. just because you haven't done your work enough. You haven't put your effort. You have done something, but it's not complete. After putting some effort, you come into a conclusion saying this practice doesn't work for me. In a way, you're accusing Buddha, right? So you have to understand that very particular teaching. It says the Buddha's words, you have to trust. You have to have faith in it. If something is lacking, if something is not matching, it's our fault. It's my fault. That's the proper approach, it says. Right? Because I haven't done enough hours, I don't get to experience the real change in my mind. They give this, simile. The hens that sit on their eggs, right? Probably a dozen eggs. And the hen doesn't sit on these eggs. And without sitting on the eggs properly, this hen expects the chicks. It don't happen because the particular hen hasn't done her work. Then another hen is there, another dozen eggs. Sit on these eggs for a while, but after a while give up. And still expecting the chicks to come out. It doesn't happen. Then the third hen who sits on these eggs put all the effort, and without even expectations, the chicks will come out. Right? The third practitioner, he puts his work, do the hours, continue the practice, and without even expectations, this non-materialistic joy will arise. Right? Because you have put your effort, you have earned it. That's the way of the practice. So you have to make sure you put your real time and effort towards the practice. And if you do it, that's the best investment you can do. Best investment of your time and effort. It's like this is the one with the lowest opportunity cost. Right? No matter what you do, there's an opportunity cost. Right? You go to work, there's an opportunity cost. You spend time with your friends, there's an opportunity cost, right? So we say this practice, the time and effort that you put towards this, that's the one with the lowest opportunity cost, right? So that way you have to find the happiness from within. You have to find the fulfillment from within. Without that, you won't be able to experience the real happiness in this world. Your happiness will always be temporary, changing, fluctuating according to the world, right? So I remember there was this Dutch lady here a few weeks ago, and she stayed for like 1.5 weeks. And having few discussions, I simply told her that you have to try mindfulness in your daily life, especially when you have lunch. Try to simply sit with your meal and eat it mindfully. So after practicing couple of days, this lady, she came and said, Bante, I usually eat my lunch within like 10 or so minutes. But yesterday I took 1 hour to eat this meal. I was attentive each and every step, and I was simply noticing, observing what is happening, feeling the food, feeling the taste, feeling my body. Right? So that way this person took 1 hour. to eat lunch and was sharing something special. She was saying, after spending that 1 hour, I feel I felt fulfilled for a long time. Usually, when you eat food, you are supposed to feel fulfilled. But even after having a good meal, you don't feel fulfilled because your mind is not there. You are simply rushing through the meal, compulsive eating. That's what you do, right? So, but this person tried this mindful eating for the very first time and was saying, I was fulfilled for the whole afternoon just because I spent that time simply tasting, simply feeling my food, right? So you can see you can find happiness in these moments. You can be fulfilled in these moments. We have many such moments in our life, right? Maybe you simply noticing the nature, a bird sound, a flower, right? Simply noticing that it gives you a little bit of fulfillment. Many people they say the sky is blue, the birds sing. But do you have to pay attention to them, right? We have many important things to deal with in our own mind. We have many goals to chase. So why waste time simply watching the skies, noticing the birds, right? That's how we end up chasing after things. We end up going into this rat race. You chase after things, and once in a blue moon, you become happy when you achieve a huge goal, probably buy a new car. You become happy for a week or so, right? Various other things, when you achieve a promotion, you become happy for a while, right? But that type of happiness comes rarely. Once in a blue moon only you can be happy like that, right? But if you find fulfillment in these daily encounters, then you will always be happy. We do this session for some of the professionals. They live abroad, foreigners. And in that session, after practicing mindfulness, I gave them a simple activity, right? Simply to write down 10 little things to be happy. I told them that you have to find things from today only. 10 little things that you have experienced today that made you happy. 10 little things to be happy. It's like a journaling activity, right? You have to train your mind to find happiness in the moment, right? So these people, initially, they were struggling because, you haven't trained your mind to focus on these little things. But later, they came up with a wonderful list of things. One lady was saying, I saw these flowers in my garden and they were wonderful. A friend called me today morning after a long time and we had a good chat. I was able to offer a meal to my neighbor, and that made me happy, right? So those little things in a day, usually your mind is ignorant towards them. You haven't trained your mind to notice them, right? But if you train your mind, then you can find fulfillment in these little things. That's the way. And after doing the activity, after discussing, the organizer, she was telling, Bante, I saw a lot of smiles today. These people, they don't usually smile, these foreigners, but today they smile a lot, right? Simply recalling those moments, it made them happy and joyful, right? So you can find such fulfillment, such happiness in this life. You don't have the huge materialistic things in order to be happy, but you have to be mindful, simply seize the day, seize the moment, That's the whole idea. So thank you for your participation.
Thank you, Bante. That was a really, really eye-opening discussion. And I want to open up the floor to anybody that might have questions about what was discussed today or their practice in general. If anyone has a question, you can unmute yourself. Or if anyone wants to send something in the chat, I can read it out loud for you. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions just yet, but I think maybe I'll encourage everyone to do something similar to the exercise that Bante mentioned about finding 10 things that made you happy today. I think that's a great idea, especially to encourage contentment. Okay, if there are no questions, then I think I will give everyone back their time. Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you so much, Bante Dhammakasala Hamdru. We are always so grateful for you sharing your wisdom and helping us understand these verses. And thank you, Thaindu, for reading the verse today. And to everyone for coming, participating, doing the mindful session, as well as participating in the discussion. So thank you, everyone, and I will see you next week.